Hey Archery Talk, this is Lucas, and today I've got my long-term review of the Hoyt Axius Alpha hunting bow. I've had this bow in for the past few months as part of Archery Talk's 2020 Hunting Bow Shootout, and there are some key features on this bow that are new that we're going to dig into in a little bit. This bow has an axle-to-axle length of 29.5 inches, that's Hoyt's shortest flagship bow ever, a brace height of 6 1/8 inches, an IBO rated speed of 342 feet per second, and there's two different cams to give you two different sets of draw length. The shorter cam goes 26 to 28 inches, and this longer one goes from 28 to 30. Now before we can go any further, if you could please like, share, and subscribe, it would help the channel an awful lot. The Axius Alpha carries a retail price of $1,000 so long as you like black. Now that is on the low end for a flagship level aluminum hunting bow, but if you want a camo pattern or some of Hoyt's other colors, it's going to cost you about another $100. So I set up this bow for shooting with a black gold pro sight, probably the best hunting sight I've ever shot, and I've also got a Trophy Taker Smackdown Pro arrow rest. Now one of the new features on this bow is an Integrate arrow rest system. Basically that's a dovetail mount built right into the riser, and that lets you kind of lock down your rest very easily and securely without any worry of it kind of rotating like it would with a traditional burger hole. Now I'm not using that particular rest. I didn't have one for this bow, so I'm just using a regular arrow rest in through the burger hole, which you can do no problem whatsoever. The choice is entirely up to you. Other new features on the Hoyt this year are an updated ZTR cam system. This is the third generation of the ZT cam series, and this one boasts the firmest back wall I've ever tried on a Hoyt. You can see right here, it's a much flatter and larger area for the cable to hit on the stop, which gives you a much firmer back wall. Other features worth touching on the Axius Alpha include a roller cable guard, a rear stabilizer mount, so you got a choice from the rear or the front, however you like to set your stabilizers up, and the shock pod vibration dampening systems, which are designed to help reduce a little bit of vibration and any chatter you get out of the bow. Fit and finish for me is a category where Hoyt has shined over the years. They've made some of the best looking and kind of most flawless bows I've ever had a chance to shoot. This year I am noticing one small problem. I've got the Gore Optifade Elevate 2 camo pattern, and inside the cutouts I'm seeing a little bit of fading. Now to be fair, this was a demo bow before I ever got my hands on it, so I do not know how many people shot this bow or handled this bow or how it was treated. So with my kind of past experiences with Hoyt, I think I'm willing to give them a bit of a pass on this one. As for grip, Hoyt uses the exact grip system. That's the same one I shot on the Helix Ultra last year, and it really does fit my hand quite well. It's fairly flat in the front. It comes out a little wider on the sides, which fills your hand a little bit if you like that feeling. I do wish they would have used the adjustable grip they have on the carbon bows this year, but again, that's just a personal preference. But those carbon bows, the grip kind of adjusts laterally a little bit to give you, I don't know, an optimal feel for the bow, and you can kind of help with your tuning a little bit. I suppose we should talk about how this bow shoots, and I guess we're going to start with draw cycle. Now I did a complete draw cycle video comparing all the hunting bows I've got this year, and the Axius Alpha fared very well, at least in my opinion. And I gave that the number 2 overall spot in that competition, and did that largely because of how light this draw feels. It doesn't feel like you're shooting a 70-pound bow, and if you're shooting kind of an early morning hunting session where you might have been sitting still for hours on end waiting for a deer to walk by, that light feeling pull is going to feel awful good to you, at least in my opinion. Once you get to full draw, you're met with a fairly generous valley. So I think this got 80-85% let off on these cams. I can't remember which. Feels good to me. And as the aforementioned firmer back wall you got on the Hoyt. There's still a little bit of give to it, but it feels far different than the other Hoyt hunting bows I've tested in the past. It's not at all what you'd call kind of soft or spongy. It's a little bit of give, which I do prefer. I don't like a rock solid limb style back wall. But overall, I've been very happy with how this bow kind of feels at full draw. After the shot, there is a little more noise and vibration than I was getting on the Helix last year. It's not kind of offensive by any means, but I found the Helix to be a little bit quieter. Maybe that was because it was a longer bow, I'm not so sure. But overall, yeah, just a touch more noise and a little more vibration than I was seeing in the past from Hoyt. Accuracy is obviously key if you've got a hunting bow, and as a flagship level hunting rig from Hoyt, the accuracy is just fine. I did find my groups were a little bit kind of wider than, say, with some of the other bows when there was no stabilizer on this bow. But as soon as I put like a 10 or 12 inch stab with 3 or 4 ounces of weight on the front, the groups tightened right up for me. And inside of 40-50 yards, it's shooting really just as good as anything else I've got this year with the stabilizer on it. I find some bows like a stabilizer and a little more weight, and some bows don't. And for me, this one just requires a little bit more stabilization on the front. As for tuning, I did have a little trouble out of the box with this bow, and then keep in mind, this was a demo before I got it, so who knows how it was treated. but I was getting a bit of a tail high tear, so I did have to move my rest and my D-loop a little bit to try to get the tear out, and for the most part I'm pretty happy with how it's worked out. I am finding I've got a little bit of a knock high tune on this one to get it going exactly how I want it to be shooting, but so far so good. To test for speed, I set up the Axius Alpha with 30 inches of draw length exactly and 70 pounds of draw weight. I shot a 350 grain gold tip platinum pierce arrow, an average of 322 feet per second, and a 477 grain gold tip airstrike arrow, 279 feet per second. Overall, if you're in the market for a compact hunting bow with a great kind of warranty and a solid tradition as Hoyt, visit your local Hoyt dealer and check out the Axius Alpha.